Monday, August 11, 2025, began like any other in Clairton, Pennsylvania, a town defined by the imposing presence of the US Steel Clairton Coke Works. For generations, the plant had been the heartbeat of the community, providing jobs, shaping the skyline, and weaving itself into the daily rhythms of life. On this summer morning, the air was thick with the familiar scent of industry, and workers filed in for their shifts, unaware that their world was about to change forever. Suddenly, the morning's routine was shattered by a violent explosion at the plant. The blast ripped through the facility with a force that could be felt miles away, sending a shockwave through the community. Windows rattled, alarms blared, and a deep sense of dread settled over Clairton as sirens pierced the air. A massive plume of dark, acrid smoke rose over the Monongahela River, instantly transforming a familiar landmark into a scene of chaos and fear. The sky, once clear, was now choked with soot, visible for miles in every direction. Residents watched in disbelief as the disaster unfolded before their eyes. The blast was catastrophic, plunging Clairton into fear and uncertainty. Streets filled with anxious neighbors, some searching for loved ones, others simply trying to comprehend the scale of the devastation. The sense of safety that had once defined this tight-knit town was suddenly gone. For families of the 1,300 plant workers, the wait for news was agonizing. Hours felt like days as they gathered outside the plant gates, desperate for any information. Rumors spread quickly, and every ambulance that arrived brought a new wave of hope or despair. The community came together, offering comfort and support, but the uncertainty was overwhelming. The explosion echoed past industrial tragedies, reminding everyone of the risks that come with heavy industry. For many, memories of previous accidents resurfaced, and the town was forced to confront the harsh reality that progress and prosperity often come with a heavy price. National attention quickly focused on Clairton as images of the disaster spread across the country. News crews descended on the town, broadcasting the unfolding tragedy to millions. The eyes of the nation were on Clairton, and the community's resilience was put to the test. The day became a tragic illustration of how, despite modern safety protocols and technological advances, the dangers of industry remain ever present. For Clairton, August 11th would forever be remembered as a day when ordinary life was upended in an instant, a stark reminder of both the power and the peril that come with being a town built on steel. The true cost of the explosion was measured in human lives. One worker was confirmed dead, sending shockwaves of grief through Clairton. 10 others were injured and rushed to area hospitals, their families thrown into crisis. Amid the chaos, one worker remained missing, believed trapped in the wreckage. First responders launched a desperate search, risking their own safety in hopes of a rescue. The community held its breath, united in hope and dread. For the missing worker's family, every minute was agony. The search became a symbol of the town's determination to bring everyone home. To truly grasp the impact of this tragedy, we must first understand the place at its center, a place that has shaped lives, landscapes, and destinies for over a century. The Clairton Coke Works is not just a factory, it is the beating industrial heart of this region, a symbol of both progress and sacrifice. The US Steel Clairton Coke Works stands as a massive presence on the Monongahela River, its smokestacks and sprawling buildings dominating the skyline. For many, it's a landmark, an ever-present reminder of the city's industrial roots and the promise of steady work. As the largest coking operation in North America, the plant employs around 1,300 people, making it one of the area's biggest employers. Its operations are vast and complex, running day and night to produce the coke that is essential for steelmaking. The plant's output fuels not only local industry, but also steel mills and manufacturers across the country, linking Clairton to a national network of commerce and production. For generations, families in Clairton and neighboring towns have depended on these jobs. Fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters have all walked through the plant's gates, forging a powerful bond between the community and the industry. The plant's presence has shaped the rhythm of daily life. Shifts, whistles, and the hum of machinery are woven into the fabric of the town. The coke produced here is a critical ingredient in the steelmaking process, transforming raw coal into the fuel that powers blast furnaces. Without Clairton's output, steel production across the region, and even the nation, would slow to a crawl. The plant's reach extends far beyond Pennsylvania, connecting this small city to the world's infrastructure and economy. Yet the plant's presence is a double-edged sword. While it provides economic stability and a sense of purpose for many, it also brings with it significant environmental and health concerns. The air is often thick with emissions, and the smell of industry drifts into nearby neighborhoods, raising questions about the cost of progress. Pollution from the coking process has long been a source of tension and debate. Residents worry about the impact on their health, especially children and the elderly, while environmental groups have called for stricter regulations and cleaner technologies. The plant's management, meanwhile, points to jobs and economic necessity, creating a complex web of competing interests. The history of the Clairton Coke Works is one of both pride and controversy. Over the decades, it has weathered economic downturns, labor strikes, and public scrutiny. It has been celebrated for its contributions to American industry, yet criticized for its environmental record. This legacy is etched into the memories of those who have lived and worked here. This dual reality, of prosperity and peril, shapes the complicated relationship between Clairton and its industrial giant. The plant is both a source of pride and a cause for concern, a provider and a polluter, a neighbor and a challenge. When the explosion occurred, it brought these long-standing tensions to the forefront. Suddenly, the community was forced to confront the true cost of industry, balancing the need for jobs and economic security with the urgent questions of safety, health, and the future of Clairton itself. The explosion sent shockwaves of fear and confusion through Clairton. Residents rushed outside, watching smoke billow over their town. Phone lines jammed as families scrambled for news of loved ones. Sirens filled the air as emergency crews raced to the scene. Officials urged residents to stay indoors, fearing toxic exposure. Streets emptied, and the plant's perimeter became a staging ground for first responders. News crews arrived, broadcasting the tragedy nationwide. The community gathered in small groups, sharing information and comfort. In crisis, Clairton's resilience and solidarity shone through. Leaders at every level moved quickly to respond. Governor Josh Shapiro deployed state resources and emergency teams to Clairton. Senator John Fetterman arrived on site, offering support and confirming the search for the missing worker. Local officials, led by Mayor Richard Latanzi, provided steady leadership and reassurance. US Steel's president David Burritt expressed sorrow and pledged cooperation with authorities. The company confirmed the plant was stable but under investigation. Officials worked to keep the public informed and coordinate the emergency response. The presence of state and federal leaders brought some comfort to a shaken community. The focus remained on supporting families and ensuring safety. The explosion renewed scrutiny of the plant's troubled safety and environmental record. US Steel Clairton Coke Works has faced millions in fines for repeated violations, including air pollution and equipment failures. In 2023 alone, the plant was fined over $4 million for persistent issues with emissions and pollution controls. Regulators have long criticized the company's failure to operate safely and responsibly. For many, the disaster felt like the culmination of years of systemic problems. The plant's history of violations has eroded trust and raised questions about whether this tragedy could have been prevented. US Steel's response was swift and somber. CEO David Burritt pledged full cooperation with investigations and expressed deep regret for the loss and injuries. The company activated support services for affected workers and families. US Steel worked with emergency crews to secure the site and prevent further danger. Despite promises of transparency, the company faces a credibility crisis. The community is watching closely for real change, not just words. The investigation's outcome will shape the future relationship between US Steel and Clairton. Multiple agencies launched investigations into the explosion's cause. The Chemical Safety Board, OSHA, and state environmental officials began examining the site and company records, their goal to identify root causes and prevent future disasters. If negligence is found, US Steel could face severe penalties and mandated reforms. For victims' families, the investigation is a step toward answers and justice. Officials pledged ongoing support for Clairton's recovery. The tragedy has reignited calls for stronger industrial oversight and worker protections. The explosion's impact will haunt Clairton for years to come, casting a long shadow over this tight-knit community. What happened here is more than a single tragic event. It's a turning point that will shape the town's future, its sense of safety, and its collective memory. For many, the sound of sirens and the sight of smoke will linger in their minds, a constant reminder of how quickly life can change. The loss, injuries, and search for the missing worker are deeply personal wounds that ripple through every street and household. Families wait anxiously for news, neighbors comfort one another, and the community grieves together. The pain is not just physical, but emotional, a sense of security shattered, replaced by uncertainty and fear. Economic uncertainty now looms as the plant's future is in question. The steel mill has long been the backbone of Clairton, providing jobs and stability for generations. Now, with operations halted and the future unclear, workers wonder if they'll ever return to their jobs, and families worry about how they'll make ends meet. Local businesses and families face anxiety about jobs and stability. Shops that rely on mill workers see fewer customers, and the ripple effect spreads throughout the town. Parents discuss how to pay bills, and young people question whether they have a future here or if they'll need to leave in search of work elsewhere. The disaster has deepened mistrust between residents and US Steel. Many feel their concerns about safety were ignored for too long, and now frustration boils over at public meetings and protests. The relationship between the company and the community is strained, with calls for accountability growing louder each day. Demands for transparency and safety will only grow louder. Residents want clear answers about what went wrong and what will be done to prevent future tragedies. They seek not just promises, but concrete action, better safety measures, honest communication, and a real commitment to protecting lives. Rebuilding trust will require real, lasting change from the company. It's not enough to offer apologies or temporary fixes. The people of Clairton need to see genuine efforts to improve safety, invest in the community, and listen to their voices. Only then can healing begin. As investigations continue, the community leans on its resilience and shared history. Generations of steelworkers have built a legacy of strength and perseverance here. Neighbors come together to support one another, drawing on the bonds that have always defined Clairton. Vigils and memorials will honor those lost, providing a space for collective mourning and remembrance. These gatherings are a testament to the town's unity, as people light candles, share stories, and vow never to forget the lives forever changed by this tragedy. The memory of this day will forever mark Clairton, a solemn reminder of both the risks of industry and the strength of its people. As the sun sets over the steel mill, the town faces an uncertain future, but also shows a determination to rebuild, remember, and move forward together.